So, moving on to episode 11, Disappearing Ink. Now, this episode I really like because, as I said in the previous episodes featuring Ink in Season 1, I really like Ink's power set, the dynamic nature of how she fights, and that Terry really does always have a constant challenge fighting her, and that is remembered in this episode, so the continuity is really strong with this episode, because Terry is generally petrified of her breaking into the Batcave, and does everything he can to thwart that possibility, even though Bruce is the more rugged detective of the two, realises that he might be panicking because he worries he'll make the same mistake again, and, everything's going to be fine. It's like, you really think she's coming here, don't you? And he shows his detective nature, being like, well, didn't you wonder why she didn't morph into a human form and just leave with the other workers? And you also have the juxtaposition of Ink being seen by a crazed, lonely stalker, which, when you're an adult and you rewatch this episode, can really be seen as like, oh, when a man gets so lonely, it's dangerous to allow themselves to be in emotional isolationism and things. And with the, oh god, this is going to get a bit serious, isn't it? With the uprise of like manosphere level podcast rubbish, it makes you think, yeah, that is dangerous, and the dangers of that are seen more realistically, resolutely, and presently today. Anyway, that was just a thing I noticed when watching this episode, but I kind of like the Stalker character because it shows how far sad people will go to gain power if they feel they don't matter, and again shows the psychology. You can be there's a lot of things you can be empathetic to, even if you know that something is wrong with this series, which shows the depth of even the side characters, the depth of how characters are written on this show, and why I think season 1 is brilliantly tightly written, and it's just great to see and to rewatch. And as an adult, I always get more themes from it than the last time I watched it. Perhaps that's projection of my own insecurities and my own sad life. You decide, but I do feel there's a lot of themes you can pick up on, and that speaks to the credit of the writing team here, and the credit of Bruce Timm, with DC Animated and DCAU projects in general. But although I don't always agree with all his writing choices, we'll get onto that with episode 12. But yeah, I really like Ink's character in this. Terry actually fearing her as a formidable enemy, and you get really cool moments, really cool lines between Bruce and Terry. Terry initially not believing that Bruce would let a heart problem stop him from being Batman, and them getting closer through him showing around the cave. That was just a cool moment. The fact that Bruce is willing to sacrifice his potential health for Terry because that's how close they've become over 6 months. And then the awesome thing of the old Batman the Animated Series score when he's using the exosuit, the exoskeleton kind of thing. And just Ink genuinely, well, seeming to be dead, but not being dead. And Aaron, I don't know whatever his name was, being sort of in a similar situation with another lonely person latching onto him by the end of it and reaping what he so kind of thing. So, even when people do go that far, they do see how bad their actions are in this universe. And again, it's sort of like the psychology of that character is fascinating to me. The depth of the side characters in this show is fascinating to me, and maybe I'm overthinking it, but I really like this episode. There's a lot of interesting fight scenes with Ink every time she's on screen. Terry again sees her as formidable, but manages to, and doesn't even really manage to best her in this episode. And I just love her power set, like how she uses it, and she becomes a more in-depth character as the seasons go on. But she does act just cold as ice and completely heartless. But she becomes more in-depth with, having a daughter, having reasons for her motivations as a villain, which are fleshed out in future seasons. And all dynamic parts of Ink, I think, over the 3 seasons of Batman Beyond are explored emotionally, personality-wise. I just really like how much they're able to cram in with her character with the little time they had in every episode she's in. I really like her as a villain. She's quite fun to watch. And quite terrifying with how formidable her power set is and how cold she can be when pushed to a fighting level. But, yeah. So that's my thoughts on Disappearing Ink, I believe the episode is called, and I really enjoyed it. And yeah, it's one of that I would always rewatch. It's very interesting character growth all round, and wonderful moments between Terry and Bruce.